Look at that. See how fast
Heyo.
that was? That is called proper planning prevents piss poor performance. That's what that is.
Love it, dude.
Yeah. How's the day?
Going amazing, dude. Going amazing.
Yeah, me too. Thank God it's Friday. Got a lot of things going on the real estate side of things. Got a lot of things going on the Semper Ruck side of things, and it's just going to one. It's. I don't know how Elon Musk does it. Just dun, 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 dun.
Dude,
It's pretty amazing.
the
I,
context switching is insane. I That is one thing I struggle with is like being able to bounce from one thing to another, like in like stay in momentum. Yeah. So
that's
tip
cool.
of the hat to anybody who excels at that.
Yeah, yeah. So, um, it's been a few days since we haven't really spoke. We've text, but it seems to me that you're liking the Semper Ruck app.
Yeah, dude, it's freaking insane that like someone with no coding background, like I mean, technical expert, like just to have a Strava level app, like up, running, published, accessible, community. Like,
Yeah,
dude, it's wild. I'm pumped for you, dude.
dude, I got to tell you, and you've got to witness this from the front row because it's. I just got this comment in the group. Uh, the guy's talking about there's a fitness assessment built into the app. Um,
Hmm.
you probably have seen it, and there's two parts of it. There's a walking fitness that's based off of Rockport. It's called the Rockport Walking Fitness Test. It measures your VO2 max, and it was actually commissioned by the shoe company Rockport. The thing of
Okay.
it is, though, is you're supposed to walk up into zone two and maintain that. And I used to be able to do that, but I got too fit. I can't walk fast enough to get me into zone two. Like I was doing I'm doing a long and heavy tomorrow. And so typically before that, I don't have a load weight and I'm just going for like a zone one walk. Now, zone one for me is like a 93 beats per minute. I have
Okay.
to jog now just to get into zone one. Like I can't just walk. Like now, zone one on heart rate is more than 50% of your maximum heart rate. I
Okay.
have to jog to get into that now. It didn't used to be like that. But there's another form to that, though, is if you're too fit, there's a 1.5 mile run test that you do. And Apple isn't that efficient. If you may not know this, but there was a time where they actually had to remove the VO2 max sensor or functionality from the Apple Watch because of a lawsuit in the European Union. It's back in there. But of course, you know me better than most. I went down a rabbit hole on the whole science on it, trying to
Hmm.
understand how effective it is on the. That's why I was talking to you about the heart rate monitor and the watch and the ring.
Yeah.
Long story short, that's baked into you have access to the beta version of the committed version of the app, the full access to the app. Everyone else who's beta testing it has access to the basic version, but there's a fitness assessment. This is what the guy wrote. Today walked no load 3.3 miles. I'm not going to read it all, but he says pace was 15 minute 27 seconds. It's a step forward because I was able to get the fitness assessment done on the Semper Ruck app after Brett fixed a couple of bugs. The whole app is really slick, but for me, the fitness assessment takes it to a whole nother level. I have a whole new level of confidence on how I'm doing overall, and in knowing that now I have something to measure my efforts against because it's your VO2 max. It's
Hmm.
exactly the reason why I created it was for
Yep.
me. Then another dude chimed in. He goes, "I agree. I'm addicted to the app, but that's really kind of what it does." When I was building this out, I'm building that to be a tool, not a fitness app. And the fact that you pointed it out that technology is no longer the barrier. Technology
Hmm.
is a barrier because you have to know how to string everything together. It took a minute to
Yep.
figure out how to string everything together. But once you string everything together and you turn AI into a brain and you get it to where it's actually accessing these different tools and you're building skills, it's just amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome. My challenge to you this Friday,
Uh
get those
oh.
guys on a Zoom call,
Oh, that's a good idea.
record it. This
That's a
is
really good
like
idea.
these are your beta testimony use case. Genuinely go in for like feedback on the app, right? But also like that's a insane glowing testimony.
That is an insane glowing testimony. That is a great comment. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do it today though. I got to
No,
I'll
it's my
schedule
Friday
it.
challenge to you.
I can't do
But
it today.
I will say this. Generally speaking, in my experience, you got to strike while the iron's hot
That's
because
fair.
that enthusiasm fades.
Well, I just pushed last night. You may have seen it. I just pushed an update. Build number 31.
Nice.
Now that's just build number 31 as I started putting it onto the Apple store.
The whole
Like eight
the
months
whole iteration.
that I was creating this to where it was native on my app or my phone alone, and before it even went to the test flight. That by itself was a whole level of trying to understand on Apple requirements
I
and great thing. The good thing is I didn't have to go to the library because I just asked AI and it would research it and fill it in. You know, there's a one term that you didn't know what it was, a situation report. So
yeah.
I actually have AI going out researching, and then it gives me, I say sit rep, and it just gives me, think of it as maybe an executive overview. Just like,
Yeah.
here's the things that you have to know
Right.
without the fluff. But yeah, I will do that. I will do that within the next week. My goal right now, because as you were talking about that, I want to use that in order to get more beta testers.
Yeah.
And as of right now, I am a little, but not so. I'm happy that we have the number of beta testers that we have now because, like you, when people use it outside of the way that I use it, I don't find any bugs because I've been solutioning for the way that I use the app.
Yeah.
Some people actually start the app and lock it and put it in their pocket and just go. You know, another dude had an iPhone 6S and smaller screen where I
Mm-hmm.
have the Max Pro. So there's a lot of things that came up just in this last 3 days
Mm.
that I had to push that. I wasn't planning on pushing a 31 build um, so rapidly, but there are some fixes in there that I'm like, okay, these guys that are actually really early beta testers, like the whole thing that you had with Gunny.
Yeah.
Like there are some things that I'm like, okay, well, to make the beta test worthwhile, there are some things that just have to get fixed.
Yeah. I love it, dude. You're a certified app builder.
Almost. Once it goes live, I guess that's true. You know, one of the cool things that I did today that I was a little giddy on, um, the default is turned off, so you have to go into the settings and you have to go turn on Gunny's voice. So, but when you go on your next walk, how far are you typically going?
Um, I don't know the distance. It's usually around 3,000 steps for me on my
Okay, it's
route
about a
that I
mile and a
will do.
half. That's about a mile
Okay.
and a half. About for your actually, it's probably more than that because your height, you're getting more longer strides with
Yeah.
that. But for me, it's about 1,800 regular steps per mile.
Okay.
So the reason why I ask that is that um, the system used to have uh, a system voice, the woman system voice saying zone one, zone
Mm-hmm.
two, when a heart rate. Now Gunny's voice does that. And when you hit a mile marker up to 20 miles, you're screwed if you go over 20 miles. But up to 20 miles, every mile marker, Gunny will say, mile 1, mile 2,
Right.
keep it up, hold the line, mission
I love his
accomplished.
I love his shit talking personality. Well, I was chatting with him last night, and he was like, "Stop the yapping, get to stepping or something." I was like, "This is at like 11 o'clock at night." He's like, "You're burning daylight." I'm like, "Dude, it's freaking, it's 11 p.m. right now. You're still behind pace, man. You haven't logged your D7." Like,
So D7, I came up with this because you were talking about the sit rep. So I'm guessing you don't know what the D7, the daily 7 is.
I figured it
And
out, but
okay. So those few little questions that you had, the one question you had is like, what sit rep? That
yeah.
opened up a whole line of my mind going into processing things to making
Mm-hmm.
sure that the app is really good at giving the definition in the background of it.
Right.
The
Yeah.
D7, just so you know, is going to be turned to strength
Okay.
because I just discovered that there is a Marine Corps doctrine that it talks about load weight based on your lean body mass. So
Okay.
it has a safe range and such. So if you're going to start progressively increasing your load weight, you have to increase your lean muscle mass. Now you could do that as you go progressively just by doing the weight. But sooner
Mm-hmm.
or later, you're going to get to the point where you have to do strength workout. You have to do squats. You have to do, you know, pull ups. So that's where the daily 7 comes in.
I love that. The uh, on the D7, like I didn't know what it was at first. I figured it out, or like it clicked for me once I got access to the strength section. Um, uh, One thing that like just instantly popped into my mind on that is like um obviously this is set to what you do as like the default,
Yeah.
right?
Well, not
um
yes and no. It's what the Marine Corps. Everything's influenced by what happened when I went through the Marine
okay,
Corps. Everything is influenced that. So the daily
so
7, it
these are
is
Marine Corps
yeah. Like
standardized.
if you
Okay.
find someone in the Marines and you talk to them and
Yeah.
you say something about the daily 7, they're going to instantly know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Now, conversely, what I've learned is that me bringing it up to someone who hasn't gone into the Marines, the opposite effect is true. So they have no idea what you're talking about. But it's you have back, you have a push pull, you have a
Yeah.
core, you have a core isometric, and you have a core contraction. So um, you have squats, you have lunges. So there's just certain exercises. The strength app now has the ability to add weight to each one of those. So you can
Okay.
go body weight, which means you should do more reps. But if you do weight, you do less reps. And what you're going to see is some kettlebell workouts coming into it.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, or my that's where my head instantly went. I was like, hey, this is great, but like I also do this stuff. Like, or these are some things that I do. Like, so having the option of like, hey, here's the recommended D7 military, right? Boom, standardized. Here's a list of other exercises, common exercises from people that folks could choose from to maybe swap in for their D7, or like, because there's this gamification, right, of everything where people just like to see stuff checked off. So, hey, here's the recommended D7. Here you can, maybe you want to start out with like your own custom list of like three things that you're knocking out today,
Yeah. The
right? And it's like
functionality
one,
there,
two, three.
I just have to show you how to access it. And that's where you got it raw. And I'm like, here, you figure it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
I am going to have to create some tutorial videos that walks people on how to do certain things. For example, switching out the daily 7 exercises.
Hmm.
You don't always have a pull-up bar somewhere around.
Yeah.
So what are the alternative methods to it? And each one of those slots has about, I think, 7 exercises to choose from.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I have TRX bands. So um, I've gotten to the point where I have to travel with TRX bands. I also actually didn't take my TRX bands last time, and the gym was closed because the electricity wouldn't turn on. And they didn't have a picnic table because what would happen is I'd go on a picnic table and I'd sit underneath it and I'd do um, back exercises.
Yeah.
So what I had to figure out, and you're gonna love this, I had to use my suitcase, and I was doing pullbacks with my suitcase.
Okay. I love
So
it,
if
dude.
there's a will, there's a way.
Creative, dude. Yeah. Right. Either either make it happen or make excuses.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun this last week or so now that I have you testing it. I have other people testing it. Um, that unsolicited feedback that I just got. It's exciting to see somebody using it, and that's a good lesson in finding your tribe. That's a good lesson in being very, very hyper focused on the type of people you want to work with.
Yeah.
And it's not about making sure that you let the people know. You're not trying to write a message on to attract the right person. You're trying to write the message to repel the wrong one. And I think there's a distinction there.
Yeah.
I think if you're trying to find the right person, it's going to be a lot harder, or maybe you just won't get the right size, right type of group, as opposed to just being very, very blunt on who it's not for. It's my thought. I think there's a distinction there. I think and I did the
Yes.
same thing when I was recruiting, when I was an
Yeah.
operator, when I was running an office, real estate office. I did the same thing, like
Yeah. There's
especially with new
a
agents.
I think there's credence to both sides of that, where it's like a push pull, like identity. Here's who it's for. Here's who it's not for. Um, and also like a level of like when you start to get deep into it, like where it's like this belief shifting mechanism uh, as well. We'll pick that up later on down the road when you get further into your
Well, no, I think that this is relevant for everything that we do,
yeah.
not just with this, but with what you're doing in the mortgage industry, what I do in the real estate industry.
It's
I think
applicable to everybody, anybody who's
everybody's trying to
marketing.
do a one size fits all. Everybody's trying to do full service at the lowest cost, and that typically there's a place where that just does not exist. You can't do
Yep.
it. You can't afford to be on a race to zero and have all of these services. Um, you can't be. There's just a lot of different things that you just really have to focus on. If I went back into production, I mean this with the most utmost respect, but if I were to ever go back into production, the first time home buyer would not be someone I would be looking to attract and work with. I did when I first got started. I mean, that's where the majority of my business came from, was the first time home buyer. Um, but I wouldn't do it now because the price point's lower. It's a lot more work when you're working with someone who typically, the first time home buyer is much more seasoned now in Southern California, like older in age, than
Yeah.
say in other parts of the country where the median home price is, I don't know, 300,000. You
Right.
have a younger person that could actually do that. So, and that would be all of the messaging. You would have to adjust your messaging for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like a default niche for new people. Um, as they get into the market, and I mean, I think there's a little bit of like cutting your teeth to the that feeds into that. Like, but yeah, I'm right there with you. I would definitely avoid that at all cost.
Yeah.
Personally, you know, you
You
can
know,
it can crush with the right systems, but like it's a lot of work. You're gonna be
there's
working
a real
twice as
estate
hard.
agent on the East Coast that I've gotten to know. I've interviewed him a few times. He was a speaker. Do you remember when I put together that contest for the AI Innovator
Yeah,
Challenge
yeah.
and I went through? So he was a finalist, and that's how I got to know him. And then I hosted an AI section with him. See, that was last September, so it was like maybe last year, like November. November of last year is when I had him on my corporate, not my corporate, but my real estate network
Yeah.
event. Well, the dude has taken his YouTube page from 1,000 subscribers to 100,000 subscribers in less than a year.
That's awesome.
So I actually have a call with him today to schedule him for for the event that I'm doing next month. And I think that that's just, that kind of goes into knowing your audience and actually getting out there and just attracting people and becoming known. And it really ties into what are the activities that a newer person can be doing that will help them be successful in this day and age. And it's interesting. It's slow rolling because you and I have had this conversation for years, but I am starting to see more of the veteran agents starting to adapt these modern strategies. Now, these strategies are still a decade old, but they're starting to adapt them. And if someone wants to streamline things and make it faster, it's going to be that much greater.
Yeah. What's his channel? He was like made like his own real estate application, right? If I recall.
I can't remember specifically what it was that he did. Um, so I'll have to. I don't think it was an application. I think it was more of reporting and such.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And I just don't want to, full disclosure. I just don't want to give. I'll give you the name and everything
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it, but not while we're recording and going
Yeah. No
live.
worries.
Keep that segment.
Yeah.
Keep that fine line
Got
on
to
that.
keep them separated.
But yeah, um, top agent in the state. In fact, if I remember correctly, so it's not just within a real estate network. It's like, so
That's
you have the people watching have 1 in 50 chance to get the right state.
that is that's not a small achievement to be
No,
number one statewide.
no, no. So, but I'll tell you what, man. What you're doing with AI, what I've done with AI, there's absolutely zero chance that I could have done anything with the SemperRuck app without the invention of AI. So if you just look
Yeah.
at that from scratching the surface, and now you look at companies like SpaceX and you look at Microsoft and you hear things come out that 90% of the code or 100% of the code is now being written by AI and the engineers are just kind of auditing it. And then you try to
Right.
wrap your head around the fact, you and I were around when photos started happening on the phone. Like if you take the scale of how fast it went from a block phone to where we're at now, which is probably about a 30-year timeline, and then you try to wrap your head around that and multiply it probably by 100, that's where we're at. And it's wild.
Yeah. So we are
Like even you and I
we're,
think that you and I are
we're on a
ahead of the
rocket ship.
curve when it comes to implementation of artificial intelligence as a tool. I think everybody's using it as a thought partner at this point, but
Right.
as an actual tool, I mean, we're just scratching the surface. And I think that you and I both know that, but there's a lot more upside to things. Look, dude,
Yeah.
I still got, and you probably do this too. I still got people asking me about hashtags on social media.
Yes. Yeah.
Important, yes. But
Possibly.
yeah.
Not always, but depends on the platform. It can help.
Do you follow Neil Patel?
Uh not closely. I mean, I'll catch something from him every once in a while. I mean, I know he's got good stuff, but it's like his he's always been like a traditional, like, kind of like, in my mind, like a traditional, like, SEO type of enterprise
Yeah.
type of person,
You ought to check out
which
some of his stuff of recently, specifically of on X. That seems to be the platform that I see most of his stuff on.
yeah.
And it is enterprise. And what's interesting with him is that the SEO has changed like
Hmm.
significantly. And I'm paraphrasing, but people were thinking that Google was on its way out. And what has happened over the last year is that whole Google search feature that goes straight to AI, that's like 80% of the traffic. So you being on the first page is not necessarily the thing to do now.
Yeah.
And it says every single platform looks at things differently, but the common denominator is that it's an answer engine. So the content you have to start creating for are the specific questions that are coming out of the consumer's mouth. You have to
Yeah.
answer for that. And you have to do that on the various different formats because the various different AI softwares, whether it's directly from like a chat GPT chat, or whether it's from an app that's built in using that as an engine,
Hmm.
that it's a whole different strategy now. And
Yeah.
I think that's true because when I start doing that on the rucking videos, I'm just answering questions, and it might be coincidental, but I'm seeing rapid growth on that.
That's awesome. Love it, man.
All right, dude. Well, crap, we're at time already.
Let's get it, man.
Any
Let's
any
have a
any
day here.
words of wisdom to the people not
As
watching our
always,
channel?
let's get
Let's
it.
get it. All right. Talk to you later, man.
Rock and roll, dude.
All right. Bye.